Plenty to talk about after a 42-15 loss to the Buffalo Bills. What changes could be coming for the Denver Broncos? Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Broncos Postgame Show. I'm Phil Milani, alongside former linebacker, the main man, Todd Davis, back here in studio. Todd, that was a tough game for the Broncos. I know the final score doesn't matter, but there was not a lot that went right for the team.
Yeah, you never want to lose by 27 points. That's definitely not how you want to end the game. And there was a lot of key areas where you felt like the Broncos need to make adjustments. First of all, the defensive game, the running game on defense was definitely not up to par. I know you can say the ones were against the twos for the Broncos, but you definitely want to see your team perform better than that. So you start to think about, the way things are happening and being run. Are we tackling enough? Are we doing enough conditioning? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, good thing there's one more preseason game to go here. Let's get to the highlights. Believe it or not, there were some in this one. Josh Johnson getting the start again for the Broncos. He finished 8 of 16 for 70 yards. Top play of the day, though, for the Broncos, this Mike Boone spin. Todd, I know it hurts you to see two linebackers hit into each other like that.
Yeah, that's what you call a spin cycle right there. Mike Boone's a great player. Got a chance to play with him in Minnesota. When you get guys to collide into each other, you're definitely making some plays.
Josh Allen and the Bills starters did play in this one, and he's still really good. Gabriel Davis, touchdown there. The Bills were just getting started in this one. Former Bronco Case Keenum here at the end of the second quarter finds O.J. Howard. The Bills were up 28-6 at the break. Brett Rippon got the entire second half, and he led the Broncos' only touchdown. Here, Eric Saubert. Rippon finished 22 of 26 for 191 yards and a touchdown. We'll get into the quarterback competition a little bit later, but the Broncos finished this one 42-15 in defeat. Let's go out to Buffalo and check in with our Eric Delisle.
Yeah, Phil, the Broncos dropped their second preseason game here in Buffalo, 42-15 to the Bills. Let's start with the defense because that's where the problems really started, I thought. Allowed the Bills to score on their first 6 possessions, and all 6 of those scores were touchdowns. There were several issues. The tackling wasn't quite good enough. There were some penalties. There were some execution issues with coverage. All around, the Bills were able to just kind of have their way. It is important to note that the first-team Bills went against the second-team Broncos, and then the second-team Bills went against the third-team Broncos. Things didn't really even out until the second half there, but of course the Bills found success then as well. Offensively, the Broncos' best drive, I thought, came on their very first possession. They drove more than 60 yards down the field. Did have to settle for a field goal, but I thought for the second-team offense to do that against the first-team defense, that was encouraging. Obviously, Brett Rippon got the team on the board with a touchdown there in the fourth quarter. And special teams, that might have actually been a bright spot as well. Montreal, Washington, a couple of nice returns, including a 35-yarder. Broncos were only able to force one punt, but they showed good coverage on their other, coverage units as well. So they're improving in that area. That was not a good area last year, so to see them take steps forward is encouraging. But Phil, things need to be better here. I expect we'll hear that from Nathaniel Hackett as well.
Thank you very much, Eric. Yeah, a tough one for the Broncos, 42-15 the final. Todd, I know it's just a preseason, but the mentality, maybe the lack of effort, I know that's not where the Broncos want to be right now.
Definitely not where they want to be, but I think we're okay. I think it's not cause for concern just yet. Having played myself, I know what it is like to be with the ones or with the twos. So even when you're evaluating certain positions, like I know they're definitely evaluating the middle linebacker group right now, having those guys in there with the second team up front, as opposed to, DJ Jones and Draymond Jones and Deshaun Williams, it's going to look a lot different. The gaps are going to be more specific. They're going to do a better job of keeping old linemen off of you. So you have to be able to evaluate, when the twos are in there versus the one. So I think they're going to be just fine. And there's such a dynamic back end, that the Broncos have. They're going to be great.
We know Nathaniel Hackett this week said that he does not like the preseason. So a different philosophy from the Bills. I mean, you think things will change maybe, Todd, just because that Seattle game is going to be here before we know it?
Yeah, it's right around the corner now. I think he's going to hold true to, how he wants to play the preseason. But personally for myself, I know that the preseason used to help me get ready for games. That third game when you had to play a full quarter as a starter, you're tired, you're winded. It helps to get your winding and your conditioning up. You're able to work on your tackling. So for me, I definitely felt like the preseason helps people get ready to play.
Well, here's what the Broncos head coach had to say after today's loss to the Bills.
I think it was across the board. I have to see the tape first and foremost. Haven't gotten to talk to Ajero and those guys, but I felt like we were moving at the line of scrimmage. When you're getting movement on the line of scrimmage and those backs are not touched till later, it's hard to be able to stop them. Right out the gate. So we got to be better there in the run game with the defense. You get six touchdowns on 6 drives. Obviously nobody did good. So we have to evaluate the group as a whole, and we got to tackle better. We got to hold the point better. Everything.
We're back here in studio with Todd Davis. Todd, it's interesting. How do you get better at tackling during this preseason? We haven't seen any live drills or anything like that out of practice. When starters aren't playing in the preseason, how do you get ready to go here for the regular season?
The only way to get better at tackling is to practice tackling. And you do that through practice or playing on Sundays. And I think it's important for, the Broncos to get more work at it. I think you're seeing the lack of work and lack of practice that they've had, in the weeks leading up to this game. So I think it's important for them to do more of it because, just getting better at it on game day is not going to be enough.
Were you surprised by the effort? Because, these guys are fighting for a spot on this roster.
I give a lot of credit to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are one of the toughest, hard-nosed football teams in the league. So they definitely had, a long day going against, their starting offensive line, who is usually one of the best in the league.
Okay, let's go back out to Orchard Park and check in with Sydney Jones.
Inside locker room here with Deshaun Williams. Deshaun, obviously you never want to see a loss, but it is just the preseason. So what wasn't working for the defense today, and what do you hope to improve on?
I think it was just a mix of, like you said, we wasn't tackling, and it's really on us. It's not something they did. We just, people just lackadaisical. It wasn't focused. And then in the pros, you got to be ready at all times. It don't matter if you go against their 1s or 2s. It's NFL. Everybody's good. So hopefully, next week we'll bounce back and end it on a good note.
Well, the Bills, they scored on their first 6 offensive drives. What did you see from the defensive line on those?
It was just some of the stuff, they just stayed on blocks. They wasn't climbing up. And as a whole, I think everybody's got to play better. It wasn't just one group. So it makes it bad because they scored on every possession. So you take that pride. But, no, it's preseason. We don't want to lose like that. We got pride in this locker room, and we'll work on it next week.
Well, one preseason game left. What is the mindset and the attitude from this entire team over the next week before the regular season starts?
I think a lot of people, they starting to get a little antsy. So you just want to see people just really just have fun, just let loose, man. Because I've been in those shoes before, counting the numbers, and you don't end up playing as good. So next week is, put all your chips in and just have fun, just play ball like we did week 1. And then, some guys, I hope, just to go in the game, just a free mind, not worrying about cuts. So that's what I want to see next week.
Well, for you, Deshaun, how do you feel about your game right now as we're getting closer to the season?
Yeah, I felt good. Today, man, I had a great transition rush that we work on individual every day. So it was like second nature. I had to think. It was real good, man. I felt like my reps was good with some things I could have did better, but I love how my game has took to another level, and I can't wait to show it on week 1.
Looking forward to seeing it during the regular season. Deshaun, appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Let's talk about the quarterbacks a little bit here, Todd. Last week, Josh Johnson went out there, played really well against the Cowboys. Today, it was Rippon who seemed to have a better day.
Yeah, I think Josh Johnson definitely took the lead after the first game. But Brett, like you said, came in and played really well. So it's really a big competition between those two guys. I think the third preseason game is really going to push whoever's winning forward. But I think it's important for them to still, keep giving it all at practice, keep giving it all at every game because it's not decided yet.
It's about consistency, right, at that position, Todd. You can't be one game up, one game down. But to Josh's credit, he was going up against some of the Bills starters.
Yeah, he definitely was. And he didn't do as well as he did last week, but he had some good throws, some good plays. I think that first drive where he was able to extend the drive and, really keep them on the field was very good. But going up against some ones are never easy.
How much do you think coaches weigh game action like this versus what they see out in practice?
I think they weigh game action very, very heavily. That's what we're here to do, is to play games. So we want to evaluate the game film the most. Although you may look good at practice and make things happen, if you can't do it on Sunday or on Saturday afternoon, that's what matters most.
The last area we want to talk about, wideouts. I mean, so much talk about the competition here. We saw Brandon Johnson out there to start the game, had 1 catch for 11 yards. And then it was Jalen Virgil in the second half who had a couple nice grabs.
Yeah, I think that's another room where it's, packed with talent. This is going to be tough for George Payton to really, knock them down to six or seven guys. You look at the 3 starting positions, and those are pretty much accounted for with KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. But you have a slew of other great young wide receivers behind them. You talk about Trey Quinn. I feel like he had a great game today and really showed that he's able to play at a high level, as well as Brandon Johnson, Kendall Hinton. There's a lot of great guys, and they're definitely battling it out. So Peyton's going to have a hard time, cutting some guys off.
Yeah, George Payton, a big couple of weeks coming up for him here as he has to make some very difficult decisions. Let's go back out to the stadium one last time and check in the Broncos locker room.
Here with tight end Eric Saubert. Eric, obviously you never want to see a loss, but it is still the preseason. So overall, what do you think of y'all's performance today?
Definitely got to be better, all areas of the game. The important thing is today, we talked about, we just learn from this to get better. That's what the preseason's for. Obviously a lot of things out there are unacceptable, but so long as we learn from it and get better, things are going to be, looking up for us.
Well, it seemed like the offense got going, in the first drive, but then we didn't see them in the red zone again until the fourth quarter. Your touchdown that ended in that. What was working, and then what wasn't working for the offense?
It's just little things like executing one guy here and there. We just got to be better as a unit, more cohesive, and we'll eventually hit pay dirt. Like I said, just got to learn from this and get better.
Well, one preseason game left before the start of the season. What do you hope to improve over the next week?
Just those little things, focusing on our fundamentals, run game, pass game, everything. We can get better at everything. So, just work on getting back to basics. Last one, learn from it, then it's the real deal. So.
Well, we'll be headed back home. Eric, appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Time to wrap up this Broncos post-game show. Todd, take us into the mindset of a player right now. Broncos have to go from 85 to 80 by Tuesday. What are the next couple of days feeling like inside that locker room?
If you're a player and you're teetering on that edge, it's definitely nerve-wracking for the next couple of days. There's kind of a guy that walks around and tap guys on the shoulder. We call him the Grim Reaper, and you never want to get the tap. They'll let you know that George wants to talk to you. Maybe bring your playbook with you. That's always tough for guys. So guys are doing everything they can to make sure that they have a spot, 2 weeks from now.
Do you think things are going to change for the Broncos after the performance today? Do you think that maybe there will be some tackling drills? Do you think the intensity will go up in practice a little bit?
I hope so. I think Coach Hackett is very secure in himself and in his plan, so I don't think it'll change much. But I think that the team would benefit for a little bit more tackling and a little bit more live action.
What do you think the message was in the locker room there after the game?
I think his message was, it doesn't matter if you're a 1 or a 2. This is not how we play football. It doesn't matter who you're up against. We want to see your best. We want you to tackle well, and we want you to play hard. So I think he definitely may have laid it on them, but let them know that everybody has another opportunity coming up shortly, and they better bring their A game.
A long flight home from Buffalo back to Denver today for the Broncos as they fall 42-15 to the Bills. That's going to do it for us. For Todd Davis, I'm Phil Milani. This has been the Broncos Postgame.